Hello and welcome back. You can go to the material section and download the PDF. It's something like a small chapter about the learning performance distinction and the digital method. I think it would be better if you just read it, because it would be very complex if I try to just talk about it. Okay, so let's start by seeing these guidelines. So the first set of guidelines has to do with practicing, feedback and skills. So we are going to see 36 guidelines now and some more in the next video. As I have already said, all these guidelines and even more stem from the analysis made in this brief presentation I have made in the second part. So, practicing, feedback and skills. First, skilled performers should have enough time to deal with the cognitive load of their task in practice before they rely on the automated process when performing. So, don't be in a rush, don't try to just do quickly an exercise, because it's like you do a skill, but or you read something like in mathematics, and you should provide enough time for the learner to feel its taste, to feel that he or she has assimilated what they have just practiced. 2. Performers should try to integrate a variety of senses as a source of feedback, and the sources of feedback are auditory, visual, olfactory and so on. 3. Learners should prefer to practice multiple tasks in a highly randomized order, even when just one task is of primary concern. So, for example, I just need, my purpose is to fix, to improve, let's say, one skill, my forehand drive or my serve, when practicing tennis, for example. It's always a better idea to do two skills. For example, I only have to improve my serve, but I will practice serve and backhand, or serve and something else, because research has shown that I can do two things, two tasks, and learn each of them equally, as if I was just learning and practicing one task. So it's like double the benefit. 4. Demonstrations should include both types of information, that is, complex and simple ones, in order to maximize learning. It's like the bird's eye view and the tree view, okay? So you should give the general idea and then go into specifics. 5. An additional factor affecting the effectiveness of transfer is cognitive skills, that is, more specifically, consciousness, seen as self-awareness, in practice. Performers need not only include skill training, but try to be as conscious as possible when practicing, mainly via self-monitoring. So, because it's a very important subject, how to transfer skills from one activity to another activity, so as to save time, the best way to achieve the maximum benefit of skill transference is by being conscious and self-aware when doing both practicing the initial skill to be transferred and when trying to do this transference. 6. Reduced feedback from the environment is necessary for performers in order to gain independence later on. This has been observed. If you give too much feedback to your athletes or to your students, then they become dependent on this feedback, and when you remove the feedback, it's like they feel naked, so to speak. 7. Skills are embedded in the environment and equally in the senses. Performers should be exposed to a wide variety of stimuli. Okay, this has to do with a more general theory of embedded cognition. You should try and find more things about it. And it's like trying to use many senses, many sources of feedback, about the idea of our interconnection with the environment, what cognition is, and so on. 8. Always vary practice schedules. Practice schedules like blocked practice when I do the same thing again, or serial practice when I do different things but I know the order, or when I do random practice and I don't know the order that every stimulus will be presented to me, or I will practice each skill. 9. Don't segment your training too much. Practice should include all parts and whole movements as soon as possible within the session. So doing part practice is good, but only in the very beginning and for only some time. Okay, so if you can practice the whole movement, practice the whole movement as soon as possible, and maybe use part practice to improve your understanding, or to improve the understanding of the parts of the whole movement, but don't try to replace whole practice with part practice. Okay, part practice is just a supplement. 10. Distribute practice into identifiable parts, both within and between sessions. Avoid continuous practice for too long and always take breaks. This produces better learning, especially if sleep is intermediated, applicable to between session distribution, of course. Sleep must not be reduced, example, in favor of more training, as the final result will no longer be optimal, or may even turn out to be negative. Don't forget that when we practice, or when we compete, we don't learn. Okay, this is bad for learning. That's oxymoron. Okay, practicing or competing. When do we learn? When we sleep, when we rest. So we only learn afterwards, only when we rest. Okay, that's very important. 11. Cross-training benefits performance through various mechanisms, including transfer, and should be regularly practiced. Include many similar activities. So cross-training is nice because it makes practice less boring, it protects from injuries, and maybe through transference, it also enhances learning. 12. Peer learning activities should be central in learning environments. Directions should be kept to a minimum. So should be the teacher's involvement, kept to a minimum. Don't let teachers teach too much. I'm in favor of constructivism and not instructionalism. 13. Testing is an important part of the learning experience. It's also called the testing effect. The very act of testing something or competing adds ecological validity and helps in the learning process. 14. Photographs, video, etc. showing the trajectories of the movement are highly insufficient towards the learning of the movement itself. So at some point, videos seem to be like a panacea, but it turned out that okay, they are helpful, you can and you should use them, but really very sporadically. Okay, it's not like they will make a big difference. It's like one more source of feedback. 15. Early preparation should be stressed continuously. This is one of the most known characteristics of experts. They are able to prepare early. Okay, and this is something that will come on its own as someone progresses and improves, but also something that should be trained consciously. 16. It is of vital importance to dedicate a considerable amount of time and effort towards developing the mental and cognitive capacity of the athlete in a holistic way. 17. You will always have to go through basics again and again. Saito sensei used to say that he was so good, he was like exceptional, unbelievably good in Aikido, and he kept saying that what made him so great was basics, practicing basics for 40 years. 18. Neuro-linguistic programming, mental imagery, theater pedagogy, priority therapy, therapeutical coaching, cognitive behavioral therapy, and so on and so forth, are of vital importance for the development of sound mental models, mental meta models, and for still other aspects of high performance, motives, priorities, and so on. They should not all of them, but you should choose specific tools and really work with them. Okay, don't just stay in the practice, integrate these tools in practice as well. Recently I have integrated EMDR into tennis training as well for better learning. 19. Both practice-wise and performance-wise, it is more useful to consider one's own body as part of the external environment rather than as something under one's full control. Trying to control your body selfishly is very dangerous for injuries, doesn't help in achieving the flow state, and it's like fighting against yourself, okay? But if you see yourself as a part of the external environment and you try to respect the way it works and just go with its flow, you will see that things are much better. Sometimes, you know, it's like a selfish and an egotical thing, and I'm trying to do something and I'm trying to push my body to the limits, but this should only come after many years of learning how to use my body efficiently. 20. In practice, an individual should train high-quality movement automaticity deliberately rather than just letting automaticity prevail. The more you rely on automaticity, the worse it gets for learning. Okay, for the best possible automaticity, which of course is a requirement for high performance. Okay, the more you have to develop skills consciously, deliberately, and slowly. It's a myth that you should do repetitively something automatically again and again to have better automaticity. Okay. 21. Motor memories persist and short-term interventions are insufficient towards changing them. This is something like the difference between proximal and distal methods. Okay. Don't try to achieve distal adaptations with proximal methods. 22. Sleep again. It's not only necessary for learning and performance consolidation, but it boosts them in various ways as well. Substantial adaptations happen only during rest and never during training, and performing is detrimental to most skills. 23. Learn how to recognize and manipulate consciousness states as they are identified, for example, by brain waves. If you do that, it's easier to get into the flow state, and when you are in such modes, then you can achieve things like super learning.